Hello and welcome to SCI Guys, the show where we talk about the crazy, weird, and wonderful stories from the science world. I'm Corey, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the Looky Loo, Luke Cutford.
I don't even have a response to that. What the hell was that?
This week we're talking about peeping plants and looky leaves. But first, I've got a question for you, Luke, and for everybody else at home who is watching or listening.
And my leaves.
I wish you would take your leave. I don't enjoy your company.
You invited me here.
No, I didn't.
You gave me your address.
No, you invited yourself here to record this, actually.
To be that this week, that is actually
Yeah,
true,
that is very true. Yeah, you said, I'm coming round. And I was like, oh,
I was
okay.
lonely.
No, so the question I have, Luke, is are you a houseplant killer?
Well, if not for my wife, I would be, yeah. Like, I don't look after them.
I think so. Then you are a killer. Your wife just resuscitates
Is
them.
negligence killing? I don't know.
So how about this? Make a child, neglect it.
But then I have a responsibility for that child. I don't know if I have a responsibility for my
the
plants.
plants that you buy.
But my wife bought
But
them.
what, if you buy a dog,
Yeah.
and then you starve that dog to death,
What if my wife bought the dog?
and then you starve that dog to death?
No, I just don't do anything. I just like get on with my day. I didn't ask for this.
Oh gosh, where's my wife? This dog's getting hungry. Oh yeah, she was on that shoot for like what was it, like 3 months?
Yeah. Shouldn't have
For a
bought that dog. Oh well. Sucks to be you.
Everybody, let's start a fundraiser for Luke's dog that he is.
Because I need to replace it because it's
absolutely
dead.
has neglected. Oh dear. Oh gosh. Yeah. So houseplant killer. I was a houseplant killer, Luke. I'm reformed. I'm recovered.
Yeah, because all your plants are fake now.
No, that one is real.
Oh, that was real?
Yeah, there's only one of them that's fake, and you shouldn't call out that it's
It's
fake.
over there, next to you.
You shouldn't call out that it's fake because it's slightly blurry in the background, and people will now know absolutely that it is fake. Yes, but no, that one isn't. That's real. I didn't kill it. I unkilled it. In fact, you know what? I might even crop your shot so it's not in. But just know there is a plant there, in or out of frame, and it's doing very well.
You can't crop the shot that's much.
I can crop the shot as much as I want.
This is great podcasting, by the way.
Go to YouTube, I guess, if you're listening, and if you're watching, go to listen somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, no. So, why do you think I'm asking you about whether or not you kill houseplants, Luke?
General curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Do I look like a killer of plants?
You look like someone who can't take care of much more than
Myself? And just barely that.
I started saying that sentence, and that was the end of it. But then I heard it in my head, and I was like, wow, that sounds really mean. And like, you shouldn't say something that's both mean and true. That's where I draw the line.
The Venn diagram where those two things cross over, that's Corey's no-go zone.
No, because like mean and untrue,
Yeah.
funny.
True and not mean.
True and not mean,
Good
fine.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mean and true.
Oh.
Can't take that back.
So what you do is you walk right up to the line to just before you say it, and then you let the other person finish it for themselves.
Yeah, it's like I piss across the grass.
Yeah.
You know, like I walk up to the line and I piss. I don't know. Oh no, I don't know what I'm talking about it again. Scratch that from the record. So, no, I'm not asking you out of curiosity because that's not how this show works.
Did somebody kill a bunch of plants?
Well, I mean, yes, somebody did at some point in human history, but that's not what we're talking about at all. No, I mean, you know the title of the episode, Luke, don't you?
Plants have eyes.
Yes, the plants have eyes, in reference to the film The Hills
Have eyes.
I
Yes.
guess. So, the plants have eyes. What do you think this episode could be about?
Okay, so killing plants,
No.
but they also have eyes.
No, the killing plants is just plant related.
Okay.
You know, it's the easiest plant related question. Ignore the question.
So it's
about
just
plants.
about plants.
Just about plants.
Okay.
And eyes.
Didn't-
What could the episode be about?
Could have asked my favorite plant.
Yeah, I thought about that, but that's a really boring
Hmm.
answer. And how many people have favorite plants?
Me. That's how
Would
many.
you, Luke? Would you consider yourself as a sort of model, average human person?
No. Well, in some ways.
In
I mean,
what-
I'm not a herpetologist. So, with regards to plants,
Okay, wait,
yes.
hold on. Insofar as herpetologists make up a small percentage of the human population.
Well, I just say I'm not initiated massively on plants, and yet I still have a favorite plant.
Herpetology is not plants.
What's plant? What's that? What is it?
Herpetology is like snakes and lizards and
Well, I'm also not that.
and amphibians. Yeah. Horticulturist?
Am I getting this from Series of Unfortunate Events?
Yeah, you know the guy. Do you remember Uncle Monty from Series of Unfortunate Events?
He's an
who-
herpetologist.
Yeah, and what is his lab full of?
Plants and snakes.
Right.
So,
Jesus Christ,
so I focused on the wrong thing,
Jesus
but it
Christ.
is full of plants and snakes.
Why? It's full of plants because of the snakes.
Sure. Yeah. Do you expect me to remember that level of detail?
God.
I just remember I remember the greenhouse.
It's like looking at a rat cage and being like, man, this thing is full
Full
of
of snakes.
not even that, man, this thing is full of like newspaper and like and bedding. Do you just like newspaper and bedding? What? No.
What's somebody who studies rats called?
Rodentologist.
That's what I'd call a journalist.
Yes. What?
Because of all the newspaper in the cage.
Right. Okay. I thought we were about to insult journalists.
No.
No, journalists are very important in our day and age, Luke.
Some of them.
What was fake news, you know?
Yeah, but some of them are doing the fake news.
Yeah,
so-
like us right now.
and last week.
Okay, no, we're not doing fake news. This is real news from science. I think this won an Ig Nobel Prize. It's a study about plants
Mm-hmm.
and what do eyes do?
Look.
Yes. So
Right.
what do the plants do?
Look.
Right.
For the sun?
Well, most plants do that or they'd, die.
Yep.
Yeah. No, this is plants looking at other things
Oh.
and mimicking them. So there's this plant called I don't know what it's called. Bokila trifololata. Bokila trifoliolata.
Is that what it's called?
Yep, that's the Latin name, I guess.
Okay.
It was discovered in Chile, southern Chile, in like rainforests, and that's why I'm gonna struggle to pronounce any name that it has, and so I'm not going to. It's a plant. It mimics other plants. Okay, it was discovered, I think, in 2014, and this paper that we're talking about today is from 2021.
Wow, it took him a while.
I mean, no,
7 years. I made a film in that time.
you made one film,
And that was considered slow.
and barely.
They wrote one paper.
no, they didn't write one paper. The plant was discovered in 2014.
The plant wrote the paper.
No.
That's why it took 7 years.
Okay, what makes you think that this is the first paper on this plant?
It's the first one I've heard about this plant. The first one you mentioned?
This is the first time you've heard about this plant.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
Just a paper about this one plant. That's
Yeah.
it's not the first paper, it's just an interesting one.
Okay.
I don't just go around and find the first paper on a subject. That would be an interesting podcast though. But no, I don't do that. I find an interesting one.
Oh,
Right?
that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, something, that's like what do you think is going on here? I'm so confused.
Herpetology?
So, no, we're gonna carry on. This plant, it was discovered in a rainforest, and it's a mimic. What do mimics do?
To copy things, usually with their eyes first.
Mm-hmm.
They look at something and then they do it as well.
I mean, mimics don't necessarily copy things with their eyes first, right?
But usually they do.
I mean, usually, really? Would you say that a stick insect uses its eyes to see what a stick looks like and then copies it?
No.
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But God used his eyes
Jesus Christ.
to look at the stick, and he went, I will make a bug that looks like that.
How do you know that the stick insect didn't come first?
What
How do
came
you know that
first, the
God-
stick insect
how do
or
you
the
know that-
Lord?
I know that God was like, man, I love these insects that I've made. I love these little bugs. Do you know what? I'm going to make a bunch of other things that look like these bugs.
So what we need to do is we need... Oh, right. Okay, sorry. I thought you meant that the stick insect became...
The stick insect was
before
God.
Like, so
Right.
like the Genesis, the pre-chapter of Genesis was
Mhm.
the stick insect first making God, and then God making the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, they cut that chapter before it got published. They were like, it doesn't
Yeah.
really... Like this kind of like prologue, it's like kind of... It muddies it a little bit, right?
Big Mammal was really out to quash the stick insect's role in history.
Big mammal.
Like a rhino, maybe.
Yeah. Or
An elephant.
mammoth.
Yeah.
It's like kind of elephant-like. I was going to say that before you said elephant. Anyway, no, this mimic was what I was asking you. What do mimics do? They look like other things.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very good answer.
Well, or sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
There are other senses, Corey. Other senses are valid.
So you're going to sit there and say, oh yeah, mimics mimic things with their eyes. And then I say, so mimics look like other things or sound like. Why would you...
Because you pulled me up on the eyes thing for about 5 minutes.
5 minutes? I mean... Okay, about 5 minutes. No, okay, so what do you think we're talking about? A plant that mimics what?
Other plants?
Well done, yeah.
Thank you. But does it... I think the reason I said with its eyes is because the whole thing's about the plants having eyes. So But I'm assuming the plant doesn't really have eyes.
Mhm.
So how does it know how to mimic?
Right, that's
Is it
the
just
question.
evolved that way?
Yeah, well, so how would you think a plant might mimic another plant? Can you think of any way that a plant could mimic another plant without an eye?
Evolution.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about this plant is that it's not evolved to mimic any one plant. It mimics kind of plants that are around it.
Like a chameleon.
Yeah, well, chameleons don't actually use their they don't really use it to mimic things. Their coloration change. They use it for like showing mood a lot as well.
I'm furious.
I mean, they can use it for camouflage. They're well known for camouflage, but they use it for like they go like red when they're angry and like
Do they
blue when they're
really?
sad. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that. I'm not a herpetologist.
I studied plants, Corey. I don't know why you would say that. I think I know what we might be talking about. Are the plants mimicking like a poisonous plant or a plant that like a bug is scared of and doesn't want to eat?
No. So this plant just mimics any plant that is nearby.
What?
Yeah.
So if I stuck a carrot next to it, it would be like, I'm a carrot.
I would try to look like a carrot, I guess.
Not
it
very
mimics leaves
successfully.
that are around it. So
Ah.
I mean, it's really sort of like complex. Maybe create like it looks. So and the leaves that grow initially look like kind of like 3-lobed leaves. That makes sense. Do you know what I mean by like lobes? It'd be kind of like gentle points, rounded sort of points are on this leaf initially.
Okay.
And then it changes how it looks to look like leaves that are around it. Not just plants that it's like sort of like growing on because it's a vine. So not just plants that it's growing on, also other plants that are near the plants that it's growing on.
It's like it has borderline personality disorder.
Just doesn't know who it is.
It doesn't know who it is, so it's just like, I'm going to just reflect whoever you want me to be. I'm this plant. No, I'm this plant. But who am I really?
Who am I without all of no I'm a 3-lobed leaf yeah, so it's like it will mimic anything that's around it, and the people that discovered it thought, well, it's just picking up chemicals from the air that tell plants what to look like, and then it's looking like those plants.
And then they were wrong?
And maybe they were wrong. So some other people were like, I don't know about that. What if the plant can see? What if it's looking at the leaves?
Yeah, because that'd be more like the plants have tongues. If it was picking up chemicals, it was like a little snake going probing the air. But it has eyes, so it must be different.
It's weird though, because you don't think of. I mean, your tongue is like a basic chemical sensor, but your nose is a much better one than your tongue.
True, I should have said nose. Silly
Yeah,
me.
you should have said nose. Yeah. The thing that you
that you use to pick up chemicals in the air.
Yeah,
unlike
that one.
Unlike it's snake. Sorry, I'm just such a herpetologist. I have to always bring it back to snakes.
Yeah, no, but it's weird though that the nose is a chemical sensor. You don't think of your nose as a chemical sensor, but you do have one.
Yeah, I read once that maybe the nose uses quantum something, like quantum tunneling or something.
Mm-hmm.
As in, like, because if you think about it, like, it's definitely the weirdest sense. Like, if you try and figure out like how it works, like eyes. Okay, well, we kind of know how that works with like a camera. We know like you have a surface and it sort of detects like light hits it and it interacts with it. Taste, it's like, well, it's literally brushing up against the thing, so it's probing. Touch is like, well, obviously it's just touching the thing, like that sends a signal up. Nose, how the hell? I wouldn't even know where to begin to design a nose. Like it's basically like it's like a what's that thing where you like spin things around and they all go off and they're different masses?
Wait, like a mass spec? No,
mass spectrometer. It's like it's doing that. Like, how the hell is nose working? It's so weird.
I mean, would nose not just be it just detects chemicals
but they
by
would
like
have,
the shape of?
But how does that even work? Like, what does that even mean? Like, so like eyes, like it detects brightness, so it's like a quantity and maybe like color, right? So it has rods and cones, and it's like almost like a reverse version of like an LCD screen where it's like red, green, blue. Your eye is like, oh, I saw this color in this quantity, and then some other bits are like, oh, I saw something in this brightness. Like, you could figure out like roughly how that works, but how the hell is a nose working? Like, is it? Like, to me, that's like the equivalent of the eye for the nose would be like, it has a different cell for every possible smell. And it goes like, ooh, I am chicken. I'm cooking chicken. I'm the cooking chicken bit. I don't know. There's something about smell that just, to me, seems so complex. And I read something about it, maybe using quantum effects. And it wasn't like some woo-woo-y thing. It was like, maybe there's some quantum stuff going on here.
Maybe. I don't know. I think not understanding the nose is probably got more to do with there not being any technology that uses nose tech, you know?
But it's also like we don't have technology to like produce smells. Like, we don't. It's not like a common thing where it's like, if you like, you know, like 4D cinema where you go to the cinema.
I can produce smells just fine.
Yeah. Okay. Like a 4D cinema, we don't have like a way of just basically like producing you have to have a scent to like pump out
Yeah.
into the air. You can't like create it like you can create a sound, or create it like you can create a picture.
Yeah.
Which, like, theoretically, I suppose you maybe could do that, but it's much more complicated to do than the other senses.
Yeah. I mean, the other senses are taking in like energy in the form of like light waves and sound waves.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, there is a difference there. But again, I think people would understand the nose better if they were able to like, because what you described
it onto-
every single thing
yeah.
there by using technology that is kind of based on eyes or like ear, you know what I mean? Based on that kind of thing anyway.
Yeah.
So I think if there were technology there for smell and stuff, like a smell,
But that's what I
a
mean.
smellometer.
But I think you're kind of agreeing with me in a roundabout way, in the sense that like
No. Let me explain to you
Well,
why actually you agree with what I'm saying.
This sounds so manipulative. You actually do agree with me, you just don't know it.
Just let me.
Let me explain why you think I'm right. Yes, you are correct that like we don't have the piece of technology to map it onto it, but that's kind of my point, is that we also haven't created that technology in a way that's like commonly rolled out everywhere, where like you know you don't have a feature on your phone that goes like how much of every chemical is in the room, because it's not
useful.
it wouldn't even be like an easy thing to buy. Like I have a thing in my office that measures the amount of carbon dioxide in the air, because it's
Carbon dioxide?
yeah, because it's a small room. So if I'm breathing out a lot, the carbon dioxide really does start to build up, and I start losing focus, and I'm like,
Really?
oh, I need to get some fresh air, right?
Open a window.
Well, but the sensor tells me to open the window.
Buddy.
Hey,
Buddy.
when I hyperfocus
No,
into some
no,
writing,
man. Like, hold
When I-
on.
what do you mean?
Not to be all boomer, but you have a piece of technology in your home that says, Luke, open the window for fresh air.
Yeah, because what happens is when the carbon dioxide is too high, I stop being able to think, and then I don't even think to open the window. I'm just like, why can't I think?
Why do you just have the window open as a rule?
Because bugs will come in. I don't want them in my house.
They're bugs. They're
Get
good.
out. Get your own house.
I mean, I have windows open in my house. Bugs aren't in here all the time. I see a stray spider or two, but we're mates. We chill out together, you know. I love a spider in the house.
Well, I don't, and that's why I have a little sensor to tell me to open the window for the minimal amount of time. It's because I will forget to open the window. Is my point.
Mhm.
Sure, maybe I'm a silly little baby, and I whatever.
What is it? It's an accommodation for you. It's an accommodation to help you remember.
Yeah, but my point is, with this incredible tangent, is that it like that. This thing was like fairly expensive to just, and it only detects one gas.
Mhm.
Like it just detects carbon dioxide and maybe like temperature or something.
That's
But
true,
like it's not like, my point is like, yeah, like you could probably buy a little sensor that is a pretty good camera sensor for like pennies, like from China, right? But I can't buy something that detects every possible gas or produces every possible like smell. Like that's like not a piece of technology that exists, and that's why I think the nose is more complicated than the other senses.
Oh, is that
Not
your argument?
just because the technology doesn't exist, and so I don't have something to map onto it, but because the technology doesn't exist because it's actually just more complicated.
Oh, I thought you were saying you don't understand it because it's more complicated.
I think it is more complicated. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, it is more complicated, but I thought you were saying you don't understand it because it's more complicated, and I was like, well, I mean, like, still understandable.
I don't think anyone understands it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, when we're like,
if you don't understand it, if you don't get it,
you know, when we're like, we've explored more of Mars than we have the surface, the like surface of the ocean,
the surface
or
of the ocean,
whatever it is, the surface.
we just haven't bothered to look underneath it. Sure,
It's
but
all
like
the same.
it's all blue.
Just blue. Why look? Why bother?
We didn't find out about Australia till like 100 years ago. Do you know why? It just didn't look. I thought it was all ocean out there. Turns out it's land.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, okay. What's it called? The seabed. Seabed. I think that's the same thing with our noses.
Where bed? I don't see bed. See chair.
What is chair but bed but upright?
Everything is just a slightly less comfy bed. Really.
We got comments recently. We're like, "Are you guys okay? This seems more deranged. This episode."
Yeah, we've not opened the window. It's
We've-
just building up carbon
I didn't bring my
dioxide.
sensor.
No sense.
How are we to know? I actually closed the window as well,
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
it's really my fault.
Okay, carry on. What were you saying about
No, that's
seabed?
it. I think that like in the same way that we have discovered more of the surface of Mars than we have the seabed, I think that that's also the case with our noses.
Why don't we discover some information about these plants?
Yes.
Okay, so B. triofoliolata, that's the plant. I've got it in my head now.
Well
I can say
done.
it. So remember, they mimic leaves that are around them, and some people thought that it was like sort of chemicals that they were picking up. And another group of people thought, nah, these plants can see. So they decided to do an experiment to see if the plants could see. Because, Charles Darwin's, I think, 7th son?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Charles.
Frank.
Yeah, sure. Frank?
Yeah, Frank Darwin. Francis Darwin.
That seems too modern a name for Charles Darwin's son, but
Francis.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Very camp. Appropriate. For some reason, Charles Darwin in my head is... No, I think Newton's camp in my head.
He is... Yeah.
Charles Darwin's a beardy old man.
No, well, actually, I did read a thing about Charles Darwin and his friend. I think maybe they were both autistic, and this wasn't a fanfic. This was like...
If anyone I
To
know
be clear.
would be reading Charles Darwin fanfics, it's you.
To be clear,
Yeah.
it wasn't a fanfic. It was saying that like they were both weird, and their parents like set them up together to be friends. When Charles Darwin went out on his trip to look at animals and write his little book.
Put the weirdos together.
Yeah. Well, he's like, okay, you've got a weird son, I've got a weird son. Let's put our weird sons together so that they're like
More weird.
They're more normal.
Like
They've
they could
got friends.
form like a transformer of weird.
Yeah, apparently he was gay for this guy. I don't know.
Oh.
But then it's weird because like a lot of letters from back then are really gay, It's like, hello, my best friend, I love you. I want to kiss and hug you forever. Oh, it's so amazing. How's your wife?
Your marriage of convenience. Oh, Charles Darwin.
Yeah, so his son,
That's so cute.
his son in, I think this was 19...
Hang on a second. This guy was maybe gay, but he had 7 sons. He's really sticking to the bit.
Oh, maybe
I
it
love
was his
that.
7th child.
No, sorry, but 7 children at all. If you're like a closet gay man,
7 times.
very impressive.
No, you have sex 7 times.
I don't think it doesn't work every time.
You can though. At an absolute minimum, he didn't even need to have sex 7 times.
No.
Some of them could have been twins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3.5 times.
3.5. What's the half? Pulling out.
Pulling out, yeah. You only get 1 if you pull out.
I mean, there's a chance of it coming, through the pre-cum. So, maybe that's the half. That's the half.
Wow, I love that we're talking about pre-cum.
No, we're talking about Francis Darwin.
His pre-cum.
No,
his dad's pre-cum.
His precognition.
So Francis Darwin is the pre-cum child of Charles Darwin. That's what we're saying.
We're not saying that. So Francis Darwin, he in 1907,
yes,
Francis Darwin supported an idea that was elaborated on by Gottlieb Haberlandt in 1905.
Wow, it must be what life where you just basically your dad was really famous, so you just like, I'm going to support this idea.
And he was a botanist.
But he didn't even know to do it himself. He was just like, yes, you can use my name.
No,
he's like the exec producer of this idea.
That's not, it's peer review. Or he's like looking at a thing,
Yeah.
and someone else looks at a thing, and you're both like, yeah, like actually, I agree with that guy who said this thing earlier.
Ah, is that what science is?
Yeah, that's
Just
literally
A bunch of people going like, yeah, I agree.
and I disagree. It's mostly I disagree. It's a lot of disagreeing.
Oh.
They do not
Wow.
agree.
Stop fighting.
So to make that more understandable, there was this concept that was kind of introduced around the 1900s, plant ocelli, like a kind of like really basic eye. Because, an eye doesn't need to have like a whole lens and all that like gammy, like jelly stuff, or an iris, or, those little veins going like a human eye. It doesn't need to be a human eye. You can have a really simple eye that's just a spot that can tell when something is lighter or darker. Right?
Yeah, that's like the theory. When you talk about like, or Christians talk about like irreducible complexity, and they're like, how could it possibly have evolved? Like, what would be the purpose of just sensing light and dark? Well, probably quite a lot, because that's when it's daytime. So like eyes could have evolved from like just general light sensing, and then they get more complex over time, right?
Mm-hmm. Also, you know how a lot of life was in water?
Mm-hmm.
You know what happens if you're in water and something is above you?
Well, it depends what the thing is. Maybe you get eaten.
If something's above you, what does it look like?
Oh, a shadow.
A shadow. Yeah. So if something is bigger than you and above you in water, it might eat you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So knowing if something's above you and is going to eat you is probably a good idea.
That is good. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of reasons to be able to tell whether something's lighter or darker.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
this is when you're saying this eye. Is this sensing the shadow of the leaves on the surface of
Let's
the
not get
plant?
ahead of ourselves.
That's okay. I look forward to you telling me the thing I just said.
No, not necessarily the thing that you just said.
We'll see.
I'm just saying that you don't have enough information to piece it all together now.
You don't know. Maybe I did some background reading.
I know you didn't do background reading because you didn't know what this episode was.
I'm a herpetologist, Corey.
I'm well aware. I'm well aware. And I should have realized that a herpetologist like you who studies what?
Snakes.
Just snakes.
Snakes. I'm a very specialist herpetologist.
You are a very special person, yeah. Unique is a word that could definitely be used to describe you. No, so this idea came up around the 1900s. Essentially, it's like plants, the upper layers of the sort of epidermis have like a specific shape that like focuses light into like sort of cells underneath that top layer that are like photosensitive.
So it's like having loads of eyes.
Yeah,
like
I guess kind of like
eyes.
compound eyes, but then like it's yeah, I guess it could be like that. I don't know exactly how it would work. They've not like actually looked into this in this paper that we're looking at. It's just an idea for how a sort of plant eye could work. That it's like like sort of compound eyes on a leaf basically. But it's like it would be really sort of simple cells there that are just sort of photosensitive. They're like, oh, that's light, oh, that's dark.
But then presumably, like, rather than having, I don't know exactly how it would work, but rather than having like two very complex eyes, if you have like 1 million eyes that like, well, but like, because they're all cells, right?
Instead of having one very complex tongue, if you had 1 million
tongues,
one for each taste.
Yes, exactly. Well, up your nose, yeah. One little tongue inside your nose for every possible smell. That's how it works.
I don't know enough about noses to dispute that.
It's definitely not how it works.
I mean, I don't know. That sounds correct to me.
But it sounds also like the most terrible superhero ever. 1 million tongues. Like
I have the power and strength of 1 million tongues.
But yeah, I'm thinking like if you had like millions of eyes, and then say millions because it's like cells, so like there probably are millions.
Yeah, millions do cell.
And then you could and then you could like that you could probably use that data to then like infer something from like the difference across the surface of the eyes.
Batman did that with phones, remember?
Oh,
he had millions of eyes everywhere. Metaphorically, it was the phones.
Was that? I always thought that was Iron Man for some reason.
That was Batman. Iron Man wouldn't.
He could never.
Iron Man wouldn't like what is it like impose on people like that. He wouldn't like take away civil liberties. He wouldn't like invade privacy, would he?
You're so right.
No.
Wow.
He would simply create a
he
police
works for
state
the American Civil Liberties Union. That's the new Marvel movie.
I mean, Marvel movies are like infamously sort of like pro-military, very like for the system movies. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to get all of the military stuff that they use in the films, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, the US military is so ingrained in film that it's like, you can use our stuff, but like you gotta follow our rules.
We get a script pass.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like it's kind of propaganda-y a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, almost, yeah.
I mean, you could almost say that not letting movies use military stuff and thereby making it harder for like a movie to show the military
makes it difficult for a critical movie about military.
Yeah, if it's harder to show the military in a negative light, and all major movies basically do show the military in a light that the military is okay with. Anyway,
do we need to AI the planes?
No.
Okay.
No, I think we don't need to AI anything.
Okay.
I mean, think about how quickly an AI director could take your job.
An AI could never do the amount of self-doubt that a director has.
So true, yeah. But I mean, even if he got the job done in half the time, it would still be longer than most because you took a long time to make a movie.
Yeah.
It's a well I like to go to a lot.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is that these plants have like loads of eyes, like really simple eyes across the surface of them, because these like cells on top focus light down onto photosensitive cells below. That was the idea. And so how would you test if a plant could see? Because they thought that this plant that was mimicking other plants, the one that was found in Chile, they thought that it could see using this kind of eye. So what would you do to test if a plant could see?
Okay, so those TikToks.
I don't like where this is going. Do you know what, Luke?
Yep.
Ad. Ding-a-ling-ling, is that the ad bell?
I think it is, but it's rather quiet this time.
Well, Luke, we want to keep a big old secret about this SCI GUYS merch.
Yes. please do not tell anybody and do not purchase any of it. Otherwise, people will find out.
They might see you wearing our merch or displaying our merch and think, oh wow, what a cool person. And I'll tell you this, as a cool person myself, having people think you're a cool person can be very, very stressful.
Yeah, we can't have that. And we also can't have you supporting the show to exist that you're enjoying right now.
Yeah, so absolutely under no circumstances should you go to normalcitizen.store and pick up some SCI GUYS merch. Some SCI GUYS merch like beanies and posters and t-shirts and calendars and cool stuff like that. Definitely don't go to that store and buy that.
Goodness me, that's an awful lot of stuff that I'm not going to purchase.
Absolutely, Luke. Now let's get back to the show before anyone listens to us.
God, I really hope we got away with that one.
Have you learned your lesson again,
No,
Luke?
so you know those TikToks?
I'll put you in the ad corner again, I swear to God.
Those TikToks.
Yes, TikToks.
Okay, so you know those TikToks
Yeah.
where someone like attaches little electrosensitive probes to a plant, and then they like attach that to like a keyboard, and they let the plant play music.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So you take the keyboard away. Don't need that. Or no, maybe keep the keyboard.
That was 50% of like the thing that you just said.
Okay, well, we'll keep the keyboard. That's fine. We'll keep the keyboard.
Just
but
for yeah.
what happens is like the little probes are measuring the electrical activity of the plant, and then that's like in some way being translated into basically MIDI, which is like the code it's used to control musical instruments, right? And so then the plant goes like bloop 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 bloop.
Even acoustic ones.
Even acoustic? What? No. We use notation paper for that.
No, I can't just like MIDI and it plays the guitar.
You could use like a robot to play the guitar, and you could give the robot the MIDI. But okay, so the plant goes like blah, 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 blah. So what you do is you get the plant, and then you maybe take it to like disco, or like just anywhere where you've got like lights, big lights you can control in some way. So like a disco, for example.
Yeah, disco's so easy to find nowadays. Some people say that disco is dead, but I say, hey, nah,
What's
it's still
really
kicking.
funny is that this is not even an example of me being like 30. Like disco is before I was born.
No, disco was the 70s, 70s or 80s. Like that's a long, long time.
I'm nostalgic for an era in which I did not exist. Okay, so you take it to like a light shop. Take it to the bit in IKEA where there's all the lights. And then you have it connected up to its little piano, and the person who manages the IKEA is like, "So, why are you here?" Oh yeah, we literally have a room big light in this room. Okay, we bring the plant here with his little piano.
Yeah.
And then we like turn the light on and off, and then we listen to if the music it plays changes. Like maybe it plays Chopsticks when the light is on, and then maybe it plays like something by The Weeknd when the light is off, or like Daft Punk, maybe.
Yes.
That's
a fantastic
The
thought.
Darkness.
The Darkness.
I believe in a thing called Love by
you
the
were
Darkness.
just you were trying to just figure out funny.
Yeah, well, I was more like, yeah, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, you started listing a lot of songs, and I just wasn't listening. I didn't, but no, it was funny.
No, but they weren't funny. That was the point. Was that I was just saying random songs at first, and I was like,
and
wait, this would be a lot better if the songs made any sense.
After listing already too many songs,
yes, I then thought, right, I'm going to rectify this, and then I named not a song but a band. And then I named a song by that band, and I'm pretty sure that song's by that band, but I also might be wrong, which would be really funny if that was... Did they do that? I believe in a thing called Love by the Darkness?
I think they did.
Thank goodness for that. Because I was about to end it all.
That was so painful. That was so painful. And like, I would love to cut it for the sake of everyone listening, but like, no.
Okay.
No. Let's keep it in.
Yeah.
Punish all of us.
You can suffer with us.
If I had to, they have to. Yeah. No, so that's not how they did it.
Oh,
I'm sure you'll be surprised to learn.
Shocking.
Yeah. How would you? Maybe I should be more specific with my question. Music is not really involved in this.
Well, yeah. That's just the interface. That's how the plant talks to us.
Right. So how would you, using a plant that can mimic other leaves, test to see if this plant can see?
Yeah. You turn all the lights off and see if it still mimics the leaves. What? That's a perfectly reasonable.
How would you? Okay, no. How would
you put sunglasses on the plant, and then right now mimic, bitch.
Okay, right, but like, think how would it? So you want it to have mimic?
You put it near the plant, but like with a block in the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes a lot more sense. Like you put it around the corner from a plant and see if it still mimics it.
Well, yeah. So I mean, what they did was not exactly that. They had like different sort of wooden shelves and fake plants. So there was a part of the plant that was hidden, right? So if you think sort of the plant is growing out of the plant is growing out of the pot.
Yeah.
And there's a part of the plant, the lower part of the plant, is sort of hidden from the fake plant above.
Yes.
So the lower part of the plant cannot see the sort of fake plants,
Lonely.
right? Until it grows up past the block,
Mm-hmm.
the sort of like visor thing, and then it can see the fake plant,
Mm.
right? And so the way that it grows is kind of from the tip.
Yep.
So
Don't we all?
the whole of mine grows. Like, I don't know why it's just the tip for you, and maybe that's all you've got. And hey, that's okay.
I'm all tip, baby.
Like a button.
I don't know what this shaft thing everyone's talking about is.
Okay, so because it grows from the tip,
Yes.
the the leaves below the visor will have grown before the plant was ever able to see,
Mm-hmm.
the fake plant.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a fake plant that you want this plant's sort of leaves to look like, and you hide it from it for a bit, basically, until
Yep.
it's grown up enough to be able to see it, right?
Yep.
It makes sense to you?
Grown up, yeah. Big boy.
Okay, so when you just repeat back 2 words, that makes me feel like you don't understand.
I do understand.
Okay.
Shall I prove it?
Yes.
So basically, you're testing.
By ritual combat.
Okay, that doesn't prove anything, Corey.
I don't know. Prove that by
Some-
ritual combat.
And some governments could learn that. So basically, you're testing: is this plant smelling the other plant, or is it seeing the other plant? And you're doing an experiment by like letting the plant grow out of sight of the other plant. And if the other plant can smell it, then it'd be like, "Oh, you're already here," and he might start mimicking. But if it waits until it can see it, then it can be it's seeing it rather than smelling it.
Yeah. Basically, you're testing not necessarily whether or not it's smelling it, just whether or not it's seeing it.
Yeah.
But then you might infer that if it couldn't see it and it still grew that way, that it's smelling it might be an option.
Yes.
But they're not really testing for smelling. They're just testing for seeing.
Or telepathy. No, sorry, testing for not telepathy.
Right. Yes. I
Yes.
suppose. Yes.
Yeah.
They're not testing for not telepathy.
No, they are. They're not. They are testing.
So they are testing
They're incidentally
for not telepathy.
Yes, they're incidentally testing for not telepathy.
Okay, sure. Right, that's fine.
Got to rule it out, Corey, just in case.
You've always got to rule out telepathy. And I swear to God, Luke, if...
Sorry, totally random side thing.
No way!
Yes. No, okay, I'll save this. It's a long discussion.
Oh yeah, save it for...
We'll save it for the Patreon.
Oh, for the Patreon.
I'll see you at the Patreon.
Or will you?
But I'll give you the
Ooh.
teaser. Basically, there's this documentary I was sent, and it is a real documentary. It's not like, like a sort of one of these weird things on the deep web that's like, ooh, Tower 7.
Documentaries on the deep web, really?
Like
Oh, dark web.
Well, what's the deep web? The deep web's just like anything you have to log into, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I thought you were saying dark web. I was like, that's a really poor distribution model. No one's gonna see that.
No, I think it is actually the dark web. Like the kind of place. Okay. No, I don't think you put your 9/11 conspiracy documentaries on the deep web, because otherwise, who's going to log in to watch
If
that?
you're dumb enough to believe in 9/11 conspiracies, I don't think you're smart enough to
Code a login
to
box.
get into. Exactly. No, I don't know.
That's
the
a
dark,
funny joke,
to the
but
dark web.
that's a funny joke, but I think a lot of the conspiracy theorists are like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There are
Anyway,
different types of intelligence, Luke.
okay, right. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, I was sent this documentary, and it was a very serious documentary, and it was about basically parents of these autistic kids who are like telepathic. And I know that I know.
Are you telepathic too?
Hey, that's not been proven yet. So, and it is absolutely crazy. Like, that's all. I'll talk about it later.
Talk
more.
about it later in the Patreon.
But like,
yeah.
I know that sounds absolutely crazy. But like, I think that's the point. Is that this is a very serious investigative like filmmaker, and she's just like, what the hell? Unfortunately, I didn't finish the documentary, but we'll talk about it anyway.
It's so interesting, man. It's so. I did not finish watching it.
It was long.
Well, I can't wait to talk about this clearly very interesting subject on the Patreon. What a fantastic teaser, Luke. Well done. No, so they looked at these plants. They wanted to see if they could grow. They could sort of mimic the leaves without being able to see them, like literally see them. And so they did that. They did the exact setup that I told you about. What do you think happened? So the fake leaves were kind of long and thin. Obviously, they didn't all look exactly the same, but they were sort of long and thin, without any sort of like lobes coming off of them. Just they kind of taper to a point a little bit.
Don't we all?
Oh, right. We're talking about no.
Carry on.
Right.
Lobes?
So
No lobes? Okay.
I don't think you should have lobes. If you have lobes, I would go to a doctor.
Only 3.
Anyways, these plant leaves initially do grow with sort of 3 lobes, but they can change the shape of their leaves, like not once they've grown, but like the shape of new leaves that grow.
Yeah.
So what do you think the leaves did? What do you think happened?
I'm guessing by the title that they were exhibiting behavior that suggested that they waited until they could see things before they mimicked them.
Yeah. So they could only basically the plant leaves started growing longer and thinner, but only above that sort of dividing line where they could see.
I suppose as well, because like if you're talking about this is a plant that mimics any plant it's put near, like like we were talking about our million tongues having like a different tongue for every scent.
Our million tongues, yes.
You would have to have the plant would have to have an internal database of this specific scent in the air means this shape of leaf.
Right,
it wouldn't be able to mimic any leaf. Whereas if this is basically if these eyes are seeing, the general shape, or it's casting a shadow on the leaf, or it's it's seeing this against the background, it's seeing it's this sort of long, thin, without lobes thing. It doesn't need to know what the plant actually is.
Yeah, I should be more clear. I maybe oversimplified. It's not so much smelling as it's horizontal gene transfer through microbes in the air.
That was a very drastic oversimplification.
Yeah, someone also did say smelling somewhere, I guess.
No, because that would make sense if it was
that was another thing.
A specific plant.
It was as in chemicals in the air or something in the air. But yeah, horizontal gene transfer by microbes in the air. So environmental DNA, they pick it up and they're like, oh, I'm going to look like this now. But then there are problems with that also,
You'd still have to have a way of connecting that specific thing you've received to a specific shape of leaf, unless the DNA itself contained the leaf shape.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course it does.
But you said microbes, it's the microbe, not...
No, as in via microbes. So the microbes have the plant DNA in them.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know how that would be, though, whether they've just taken in the DNA as... I don't know. Look,
they're hoarders.
There's DNA. There's DNA that's traveling through the air. I've not looked into that specifically because it was one line in the paper,
and it's not the case.
It's not even what the episode's about.
Cool.
Yeah, so why are we even talking about it?
So to answer your question, I think that the plants have eyes, basically.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. So they started to look more like the leaves that they could see. And they've also found that this sort of plant, when I think there are more leaves or they're sort of closer, those leaves that are closer to a lot of other leaves will send that information up to sort of leaves that are growing, so they grow more like the plant, if that makes sense. Right? So what the other leaves see is then passed on to
different parts of the plant.
Different parts of the plant, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, this was just one study, so I don't know if the plants can actually see. Don't go around thinking that all plants are watching you at all times.
Yeah, definitely not all plants either.
Especially not the fake ones in the room. Yeah.
Fake eyes, though.
You got to be able to see the fake ones. I see you, Luke. I see you. No, but yeah, so the plants can see, basically. That's it. Yeah, they think the plants can see. They look around. They can only sort of mimic something if it's sort of visible to them. So there might be simple eyes on plants, Luke.
On that specific plant.
Well, yeah, but other plants too.
Is that what the middle of a sunflower is? Cyclops.
Seeds, Luke, and you know that. No, look, what I'm saying is that there might be eyes on there might be the same thing on other plants. This is just one plant that we know about.
Okay,
right?
Cool.
I'm not saying that sunflowers might be able to see and we just didn't know. I'm saying there might be other plants we haven't discovered or plants we haven't looked into, all that,
I'm going to go around my house with all my wife's plants and try and
kill them again.
Try and make them jump. Ah! Oh, I won't do the sound in case they have ears as well.
They're quite slow, Luke, plants. So, I mean, maybe if you time lapse it,
they're like, whoa!
Over the course of the day, they're like,
yeah.
Yeah. Good, Luke. Thank you for that. That's so plants can see them, Luke. They are watching you at all times.
I see.
So do plants, and that is
that's the point.
That's it. That's the episode. That's the point of this episode. That's the episode of this point.
Great. Well, one more thing to be anxious about when I'm walking down the street.
It's not just people that are seeing you and judging you. It's the plants.
Every plant as well. That's massively multiplied the number of people who are judging me.
Okay, well, that is it from us, Luke, I think. But, if you want to carry on this crazy conversation, where can we do that?
We will be on the Patreon doing a bonus episode carrying on from this episode. Basically, literally, as soon as we stop recording here, we're going to immediately carry on talking about telepathic autistic children and maybe some other stuff from the stuff about plants.
And if you want to know exactly what we say, you can go to the Patreon. But if you already know right now just by reading my mind, I have something to tell you about your neurotype. Anyway, that is all from us. But before we go, we'd like to thank all of our patrons with a very extra special thank you to our executive producers, Glitch Rabbit, Rev Lunar, and Cody Miller. And you can subscribe for new episodes every Monday, or you can find our merch, Patreon, and everything else at sciguyspod.co.uk.
That's sciguyspod.co.uk. sciguyspod.co.uk.
It's different now. You can follow me at NotCari everywhere.
You can follow me at Luke Cutforth everywhere.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Go away.